Hey, what's up? So we will now start looking at the createEntityAdapter. This is actually a recommendation from one of the viewers of this channel. He's called Noah. I really like this createEntityAdapter concepts. And when I started reading the docs, I knew that I used this before, but I didn't know where. But then I saw this link. I used to be an Angular developer, and before 2 years, I actually used this, but I forgot. So yeah, I think that's why it's a little bit easier on me. So yeah, I think yeah, it's mentioned here that they got this idea from this library, the ngrx library. So yeah, a history lesson for you. Okay, so the createEntityAdapter function. It's a function that generates a set of pre-built reducers and selectors for performing CRUD operations on a normalized state structure. And if you click on this link, it will point you to this article, which in the previous video I explained. So this is why I explained this, so you can understand the createEntityAdapter. Okay. So these reducers functions may be passed as a case reducer to the create reducer and the create slice. They may be also used to mutating helper functions inside of create reducers and create slice. I didn't check out this part or how I can use them like this, but if I find it useful or interesting, I will create a video on it. So here they tell you that they got the idea from the ngrx library, and they explain some stuff and how you can model your entities. But this function, the createEntityAdapter, will generate this structure in your state, and IDs. This is the unique IDs of each item must be as strings or numbers. Okay. Now entities. Entities is a lookup table mapping entity IDs with the corresponding entity objects. If you think about this entities, they are talking about this. As you can see, we have the ID of the post, the ID of the post, and then the post itself. The same idea for the comments. There's the same idea for the users. So the only thing is different here. They are calling the array of IDs. Here they are calling them all IDs, and here it's called by ID. Here it's called entities. This is the only thing that is different, just naming. And here they are telling you that you can call this function multiple times. Of course, for each, if you want to use this kind of fast way to generate reducers for performing CRUD operations, you can call this multiple times for each entity in your application. I think it makes sense, but they are telling you that here. And they are telling you that you can use the same functions like these in any place you want. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense. But let's take a look at their example. So they are calling this createEntityAdapter and assigning the returned value to the box adapter. They are passing two functions. This is required, this is optional, this is if you want to sort your data, and it will sort them, or it will save the sorted values inside these IDs. So by default, for each element, it will call the function called selectID. It will go and extract the ID based on the callback function you provided. So this is why it's called book, because for each book, we will call this ID. Okay, and the sort is just to sort the ID, the array of IDs. You can, this one is optional. And as you can see, this inside of it now will contain multiple actions or action creators. And if you scroll down, you will see them. Scroll down here. So after you call that function, inside that object, we will have add one and many, setAll, and all of these action creators, which accepts payloads. So all of these generated dynamically. And I will show you how we can hook these with thunks and all of that, actually in this video. So yeah, we will make a very good progress in this video. So I think in code it will be much simpler. So to start, I will create inside our features a users folder, and inside of it I will create the users.javascript component and the users slice. So users slice.javascript. Okay, so I'll import a couple of stuff from the Redux Toolkit. Oops. Add Redux.js Toolkit. The create slice, the create entity adapter that create async thunk. Okay, so the way I think about it, I need first to get the data from the API, then map it to the normalized format using the createEntityAdapter. So first thing, to get the data from the API, I need to create the thunk that we will use it to fetch the data. Okay, so I'll create a variable called, I'll export it as well, called fetch data, and create async thunk. So I will call it users, then fetch data. It will be a synchronous function. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before. This could be a normal function that returns a new promise. Okay, but if you did this, it will automatically return a promise, so it's much easier. Okay, so now I will define a data. I'll call the fetch API. So I need to go to localhost, then the port number of my API. But if I run my API now, it will run the same port number as my React application. You can change the React application or this one. I will change this one. So the port number can be defined here. So this is vim, type I to insert, -- port will be equal, or I think like this. Now npm run dev. Yes. Now if I go to this link, I'll see the data we saw in the previous video. So I will put the link here, then I'll put await. But the fetch API, you need to convert the data or parse it in a specific format. For example, you can parse it to text, or I think to buffer and stuff like that, but I will parse it to JSON. And this await will actually resolve this value, the returned promise from the first then. You can actually do this, or you can do this, but I prefer the first syntax. It's much simpler. So let's just console log the data, and let's create our slice. So users slice, create slice. Name will be users, initial state will be empty object. We won't have extra reducers, we will only have reducers. I won't handle the actions that will be dispatched from this thunk. You can do that, you can just ignore them, it's totally fine. My reducers will be just for now an empty object, yeah. I will use the createEntityAdapter, so users adapter like this, and this will accept an object, so select IDs. So for each user, if you go to our, so this is an example of, this is the same data we are serving right now in the API. We have the ID. So what I will do, user.id, you can actually destruct these like this, which is shorter. And this now contains a lot of reducers. So I have the add one, I have the setAll, I have the set many or add many. So I will link these with these reducers so I can dispatch them. So users or add user reducer will point to the add one function, and set users will point to the setAll, and add users will point to the add many. And the difference between set and add users, as you can see, they both have almost the same meaning when you read them. setAll will replace everything in the previous state and insert a new one, so it will replace everything. Add many, it will add to the state. So the first time you will call set, then you will call add, or you can just ignore set and only call add from now on. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the difference. So we will call set after this finishes, or when we have the data. But remember, this is a reducer, or this is an action. It will get generated. It will be generated. So we need to dispatch the set users action. First thing, let's get that action. So export const users, no, an object like this, and we will get the users slice dot actions, and we will have the add user, set users, and add users. And let's export the default reducer from the slice like this. And if you remember, the first argument will be the arguments that you send to the fetch data thunk. I don't care about them, so I'll put underscore. This is like something common in JavaScript. And I will destruct the dispatch. So I will dispatch the set users action, and I will pass to it, of course, the data, but I need to map it before. So for now I'll do it just like this. So this will do it. Now let's go to our app, to the store, and let's duplicate this. So users reducer. Oops, it's the same path. So this will be the users. And of course, let's go to our users component. Remove the prop types, and let's import from Redux State the use dispatch. The use dispatch and the use effect, so we can dispatch it only once, the fetch data function, and from the slice import the fetch data. So const dispatch, and I will use the effect function, or use the use effect function. You can leave it an empty dependency, or you can do this, because this won't be changed, right? Either way, it's totally fine. Now what you need to do is to dispatch the fetch data function, and anything you pass here, any object, it will be this one here, but I don't care about it, so I won't pass anything, and here I'll put underscore. Okay, so when this user's function or the user's component being rendered, we will call this function. We will dispatch the fetch data, and that will dispatch the set users when it's finished. So let's go to our app.js, and let's import our users and put it under the posts. So this will be users like this. So let's go to the network. We should see two requests, one for the posts, one for the users. So as you can see, this is from the previous videos. This is the new one. And if you go to Redux, we should see a couple of actions. So this is the pending for the post. This is the pending for the fetch data for the users. And remember, we can ignore the actions that have been dispatched from this one. So as you can see, I don't have reducers for them, but they will still be dispatched. So as you can see, it's now pending. Now we got it. So this is the set users action. This is this one. So let's go give the state a look. So we have the IDs, as you can see, we have 10 users, and we have the entities. The entities, each one of them each ID of the users will point to the users object, as you can see, with the articles and the commits. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is how you can set up your style. We almost normalized it. But of course, I need to normalize as well the articles and the comments. We will do this in the next couple of steps, or in the next couple of videos. But for now, I'll just map stuff to a specific format. For example, I don't care about the articles as a whole. I need just a reference for them. As you can remember, here I have a list of the comments IDs, not the comments themselves. So this is what I will do here as well. Here. So first thing, I will have the users. I will map the data. return an object. So I will destruct, if you remember, this is our data, ID, name, and email, like this. And I also get the articles and the comments. And what I will return, I'll return the ID, the name, and the email, and the articles, I will map them. So articles.map, I will map them to the ID, right? Like this. And I'll do the same thing for the comments, like this. If you think about it, you can make this simpler. So I can remove these three and just put them here. As you can name this anything, user. And I will destruct this here again. So these are our users. So let's dispatch these. So let's go here and refresh. So we have an error. Where? Line 26. Yeah, this one, sorry. So let's go to Redux. So this is the set users action. If we see our state now, we should see an IDs like this and entities, and for each one this is the ID, and this is now the users, and now it has an articles IDs and a comments IDs. So this is when we at some point select the users, we will select the articles IDs, and for each ID we will go to the articles part of the articles slice of our store and get the article data from there. So yeah, I hope this was useful and not that confusing. But before I end it, this is the place I will dispatch all the actions for all my slices. So I will need, I will need to map the articles as well. Articles. So this will be data.map. I'm pretty sure you can do it in a simpler way, but I will do it like this. So this is an array of users. So this is a user. So this is my alarm. Let me turn it off. And for each user, I will map, or I will go to articles, right? If you remember, this is the user, we have articles, and I will map it. If you think about it, let's see our network. We have the articles, but each article does not contain the user ID. That's why I need to map them. I can't just do this, but I need to know for this article for which user, right? Because this is a flaws in our API. It does not contain that. Each article should contain the user ID, but we don't have this, unfortunately. So I'm fixing it here. But you don't need to do that, because when we render this, we will start from the users, and because we have the ID of all the articles and the ID of all the comments, this is done. But what if I told you I want to display the user for a specific article, starting from the articles slice, or starting by selecting some articles? This is needed now. So I will map this as well. I hope this was useful. So I'll return an object. So this will be the article, right? I'll call it article. I will destruct it, and user ID will be equal to user.id. And actually I will do the same for the comments. So let me grab that. I'm just lazy. I can't sleep, so I thought I would record some video. So we have the articles, let's display them, and let's display our comments. So let's go here and check our console. So we have an array of arrays of, as you can see in our API, we have 10 arrays and 10 articles for each user. This is how I designed this tool. So for example, if I have this users and a posts model as well, if I link it, so I have 100 user and 10 posts. So what will happen for each user? I will have 10 posts. Now I will have 109 posts for each user. But because in the previous video I have all 10s, so for each user I'll have 10 articles and 10 posts. This is why we see this, an array of 10 arrays. Yeah, an array of arrays, and each one is contains 10 elements. And we will see the user ID. For each array, it will have the same ID, the same user ID. So we need to flat that. So what you can do is just put flat here. Pretty sure you can do it with just reduce. Yeah, and this is, I'm duplicating the same thing here. You can just put that in a separate function like above and call it dynamically. So let's take a look at this now. We should see an array of 100 articles and 100 comments. And each one of them will contain the ID, image, paragraph, and a user ID. Now, this will be the data that we will pass to the reducer that have been generated from the articles adapter and the comments adapter the same way. So we will also dispatch some actions like this. So set comments and set articles. So I will do this in the next video. This is getting long, but I hope this was useful. And yeah, I think when we do it in the next video, it will be much simpler. We will just create an adapter from scratch, and all of this logic to map the data won't be there because we already have it. So maybe then you can understand it even better. And yeah, maybe my API was the confusing part, but I really didn't find anyone or any website else that generates this kind of data very fast. And yeah, it will be also useful when we use the delete and patch HTTP requests, because this current API that I have supports that out of the box. So yeah, I hope this was useful, and bye.